So without further ado, it's my absolute pleasure to introduce my favorite part of Alliance for Girls program. We call it the GirlTalks, where you can hear from the girls and young women who are beneficiaries of our member organizations programs and who are rocking it in terms of building that brighter tomorrow. So I'd like to introduce my friend and an Alliance member, Executive Director of the Young Women's Freedom Center, Ophelia Williams.
Oh, do I really need this? I guess so. Good afternoon, everyone. This is a wonderful opportunity to address you today. The Young Women's Freedom Center is a woman-run, detention-based reentry organization. As a practice of social change and as a practice of freedom, we use popular education and healing arts to build the power of young women most affected by social and economic injustice. We take a radical approach to movement building. We place our young women at the forefront of efforts to make systemic change, and we use service provision as a means to create healthy, inspiring, effective, and empowered advocates and community leaders. We are a founding member of Girls Alliance. We were founded on the belief that all dimensions of our social experiences are valuable. We as women and girls can't allow oppression to dominate our existence or continue to destroy our humanity. Our call to challenge systemic patriarchy is a collective call to us as women, a call we will be most effective championing as one. It is in this essence of togetherness Girls Alliance was born. Our experiences as women and girls all too often pull us to the sharpest edges of our realities, and we stay there. Some die there, isolated and alone. Studies show that girls of color account for approximately 22% of the general population, but make up nearly 66% of girls incarcerated. More than 50% of these girls report emotional, physical, or sexual abuse. Our organization focuses on young women of color. At the same time, we understand that when we walk alone down a dark alley street at night, we all walk with the same fear. The Young Women's Freedom Center is a safe place where young women are met with the help they seek and find freedom in fighting forms of oppression, including the many layers of patriarchy. We, as an organization, acknowledge the war on womanhood and the fight for the right to control our bodies, the right to say no to sex, the right to be free from violence, the right to care for ourselves and our feminine needs. We are from the underside of society, where development isn't the solution and the many systems of oppression don't just affect the poor. We know the larger arc of social injustice is problematic, and it is our proposition that development itself is deeply rooted in patriarchy. And while affluence can circumvent some things, it cannot circumvent them all. Hillary Clinton can run as the first woman president of the United States, but her daughter can't get an abortion in Mississippi. Girls Alliance has brought together our many medicines, and we are gathered in this room to be reminded that our fate is one fate, and the protection of privilege is an illusion. Privilege doesn't prevent domestic violence, sexual assault, kidnapping, robbery, or rape. As working class women, women of color, cis, queer, and trans women, we are more powerful together. Together, we can win pay equality. Together, we can achieve reproductive justice. But we must be united, and we must be brave. I'm honored to introduce to you a symbol of that bravery. This young woman speaking to you this afternoon is a community organizer at the Young Women's Freedom Center. and she is the co-chair of our Youth Advocacy Board. Please welcome our 19-year-old activist and former Sister Rising graduate of 2015. We call her Jasmine Murray Thomas.
My name is Jasmine Murray Thomas, and I am the co-chair of the Youth Advocacy Board and a community organizer. Thank you for having me and the rest of my family here today. It is an honor, and I am blessed, and I thank God to still be alive with my right state of mind and my faith growing stronger each and every day. As a young woman growing up in San Francisco, I had very few role models. I was an only child, so don't get me wrong, my grandmother has always been my rock to this day, but as far as peer-wise, I drifted to the wrong crowd, wrong influences, and so everything that I seen in the movies became my reality. I was ready and it was on. So at 12, I was arrested for bringing a knife to school to protect myself from the threats of girls I called my friends. Prior to going to AP Genini, I went to Claire Lilienthal since kindergarten, but after being tired of the same people, I did everything in my power to get kicked out, so that way I could go to a public middle school. I asked my grandma and she said no, because my opportunity there at that school was limitless and ahead of mainstream schools. So I took matters into my own hands and made an even bigger mess. While at AP Genini, they made an enemy out of me and kept harassing me. I spoke with the teachers and school counselors about my issues, but my voice wasn't heard and issues weren't resolved how they ought to have been. The teachers there made me feel like a criminal when I was the one who couldn't even get to class without being harassed for no real reason in the first place. There I felt alone, and the first time in my life I felt as though the adults could not keep me safe. So now I've entered a new chapter with a spirit of sorrow and rejection. Going through this juvenile justice system that has raised me, basically, I've been alone. I was new to life, so I clung to anything that felt like love because it felt good. One thing that I do know how to do is feel good, even when nothing else feels good. Years of soul searching just killed my spirit, and being sent to several group homes where staff was trying to figure out how they were going to teach me who I was and tell me what to do just made me rebel. So in order to keep my identity, I said fuck everybody and did what made me feel good. Until I ran away too many times and had sticky fingers too many times. So the court was tired, but shit, I was tired too. So I was sent out of state where treatment life was your only life. Programs were peer-led, so now adults weren't telling me what to do, my peers were telling me what to do. And in order to succeed, you had to tell on everything. So it was a culture shock, and my values and morals got challenged and thrown off balance. The pressure was on, but they say diamonds form under pressure. Arizona wasn't successful. That's the last group home I was at, because I ran, but it was a lesson. Later, I was sent to Wyoming at 16, and I graduated at 17, July 25th, 2014. Yay! So yeah. And then when I returned home, my support system with the community wasn't strong, so I went back to what I used to do in the first place, and I got my first strike in November. So I was sitting in YGC for the 15th time, and there I met Julia, and she worked with the Center for Young Women's Development. And on Friday, she would come to our unit and facilitate an hour-long group about things in our community, self-love, just making it through another day. So this group has been going on since I was 12. So I was familiar with the center already, so I felt comfortable with her. And while I was in YGC, she helped me make goals and plan for the outs, not to mention she was at all my court dates faithfully. So when I was released, I knew where I was going. Yeah, I had a strike, but the center looked at me like that strike didn't exist. And most of all, they didn't let it define who I was. I had a fresh, clean slate, and they opened up a lot of opportunities for me. They gave me sisterhood, and they gave me care management. And more than ever, I needed love more than I needed services. So I was hired on as an intern for 9 months, building up my leadership in the power of my greatness. I was later hired back on as staff. In this transition, the lovely Ophelia Williams came as executive director and gave her love and her honesty, and because of that, we transformed from the Center for Young Women's Development to the Young Women's Freedom Center. Woo! Because we are no longer only supporting young women from a place of development, we evolved to support our sisters from a place of power. This is not a job, but it's a calling. That means not everyone is made for this work, so not everybody will be able to endure through the pain and the truth every day. So you need to have a passion that burns so that it will pull you through the sinkholes. God's work ain't easy work. Here, they helped me build up my leadership I had inside of me and my self-determination beyond standards of society. I know that everything that the enemy put in my way to destroy my self-confidence, my hope, my love, and the power that was given to me, my God turned it around for his glory and put me right on my path. My involvement with the system got me to where I'm standing right now. We push back and not settle on what these systems have put in place for the girls who look like me. I speak, I stand, I encourage, I believe in the power of our girls, that their light shines. The values of the Young Women's Freedom Center, which are sisterhood, self-determination, social justice, and spirituality, make me stronger to find my identity in Christ and my true purpose. Proverbs 23, verse 7. For as he thinketh in his heart, so he is. And as the word says, it starts with believing in who you were called to be, because it is bigger than me and is bigger than you. I am a willing and able instrument ready to fight in love and for true justice and liberation. Because if we don't move in love, then we won't get far. Like Reverend Martin Luther King said, it's either nonviolence or non-existence. Me and my sisters, we move with a purpose. And the purpose is to change and put an impact on this world, because the enemy can't have our families, our joy, our truth, our testimonies. We stand because if we don't stand for something, then you fall for anything. And that is why spirituality is one of our values. I stand for truth. I stand for love. I stand for my community. I love my people. We have all been gifted. And I want to be that girl who pushes that other girl up to soar with her gift. Everything I have experienced, I thank God, because it made me stronger and wiser. With those trials and tribulations, I have been blessed with all my strong, resilient sisters at the Young Women's Freedom Center to fight for social justice and hope in our communities. And no, I'm not the girl who just made it out or another one of your success stories. I am a beautiful young woman of many who are still on their journey of love, truth, discovery, and success. It is not complete until I have fought with faith, courage, strength, and for all those that cross my path, and I'm called home. Later in life, I prayed to open a nonprofit called Faith to Freedom, where I bring young women who have hit rock bottom of all different backgrounds to find truth in the greatness of themselves. And me standing up here, I'm a reflection of all of you. And without you, I wouldn't be who I am today. And so I thank you guys. And before I end, it's something that we do at the Freedom Center. So I'm going to say who got the keys. And if y'all want to join in, y'all could join in and say, we got the keys. And then we say freedom, and then y'all say squad. Ready? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Who got the keys?
We got the keys.
Who got the keys?
We got the keys.
Freedom. Freedom.
Oh my goodness. Miss Jasmine, I know you're getting a lot of love, but I just have to say I love you, sister. I am proud of you. I was back there, so I didn't see your face when you were speaking, but your spirit, it just really touched me, and I appreciate you. Can we just give her one more round of applause? Thank you.